What's up, guys? So today I would like to talk a bit about how is it like to work in Japan, especially as an engineer. Because usually, everyone's telling you that if you're an engineer, you should go to the States or Europe because you make a lot more money than that. But I think there are some merits of being an engineer in Japan and working here long term. So I would like to share that. Okay, first main reason: quality of life. I think in Japan, quality of life is extremely high, especially in terms of safety. Like, let me be honest. No one's gonna murder you here. I mean, some might try with the knife, but it's a lot harder to kill someone with a knife as compared to getting shot by a gun or I don't know, machine gun, an assault rifle, or like any weapon like that. So yeah, in terms of quality of life, I think that's a big plus, especially the safety wise. It's relatively really safe here, and at night at 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. you can be walking anywhere like a crazy person walking roaming around Tokyo and nobody's gonna do anything. It's extremely safe. So that's one very important thing. I mean, sure, yeah, the police do regular checks and they do check your residence card or ID card when you're in Japan, especially if you're a foreigner and if you look a bit shady. But they're extremely polite if you think about it. I mean, I myself got stopped last year almost like 3 times, and this year probably got stopped 2 times with the police. They just wanted to check my bag or residence card. I don't know how I look shady, but anyways, so yeah, I mean they just come, they talk to you, they check your residence card, and they let you go. They let you be on your way. I mean it's pretty much that. But when I talk with my friends from the States and even other European countries, I think they told me they were treated quite differently in terms of how they stop you and how they interrogate you, and I mean, yeah. So that's one huge bonus point in my opinion. At least like here, it's more organized in a way. And here's another really big point: convenience. Like literally, in like if you live in city areas like Tokyo, Osaka, or even like Nagoya and all, so it's very very convenient in terms of transportation. Like trains, there are like countless train lines, and trains come every like 5 to 6 minutes, and they're extremely punctual. You'll hardly see them get late unless there's like a big accident, train jam somewhere going on. But I mean, other than that, it's extremely punctual, and the transportation services are extremely clean, and it's very easy to commute from point A to point B. So that's one huge factor. And on top of that, in terms of like speaking of convenience, you got convenience stores in every like corner of the streets in Tokyo, especially, and you got countless number of food items and drink items. Like it's always a huge variety. So there's always anything you need. There's always like a convenience store, or there's something that kind of fulfills your requirement, which kind of does spoil you at once. If you're like a hardcore guy, if you want to go David Goggins mode or something, it's kind of hard to do in Tokyo if you live, because it's very convenient. But yeah, I would say that's a huge factor. Another big factor is insurance. In terms of insurance, like especially like if I'm talking about medical insurance, Japan's medical insurance is really cheap compared to other countries, like especially the States. And because here almost everyone is like covered by medical insurance, like either you're a citizen or a non-citizen, so you're still covered like a general medical insurance. And that amounts to at least you pay around like 30% of the entire medical cost every time you visit a, let's say, clinic for like a certain issue or something like that. And that is a huge bonus point, because I got my ACL surgery. And I mean, for you, those of you who don't know, ACL surgery, it's like a knee surgery where your ligament between the femur bone and like the thigh bone, like that small ligament is torn, and you kind of do a surgery to kind of reconstruct it. So I think I paid around, let's say around, in terms of Japanese yen, it would be like around 150,000 Japanese yen, which amounts to about roughly $1,000 with the current inflation rate. So I was checking the states, like in with I was checking the states and good clinics in the states, like how much the same surgery cost there, and it was like $15,000 to $20,000, which is insane. Because $15,000 to $20,000 is equal to around Right now with the inflation rate, I would say around over 2 million Japanese yen, like easily. Yes, over 2 million Japanese yen. So that is like very surprising to me. So in here, you can just walk into any random clinic and get a throat check or ear check or get your like a whole body check, and you can do like a complete medical examination for like a fee of almost $100, like maximum in the like expensive range. All you need to do is just show your insurance card and they'll do it for you at like a cheaper price. And the monthly insurance fee is not that high as you expect also. Here I just pay around 13,000 Japanese yen, which is about $80, which is not a big amount if you think about it, and it's usually deducted from your salary. So if you're working for a certain company, if they sponsor your health insurance, and they'll be deducting that from your salary, so you don't need to really do any extra documentation in order to like pay that separately by yourself. So companies handling the pension and insurance and all other like things like that. I'd like to talk about the factor of language. Of course, the Japanese language is a very different language as compared to English or any other European languages, because those European languages like Spanish or let's say French or German, they do use English letters. So when you're a newbie and you're starting to learn a language, you do have some familiarity. Like you see those English letters, you feel a bit welcoming. But once you see the Japanese kanji script or katakana or hiragana script, it's quite daunting, right? Because it's like symbols. I mean, initially, it's still, some of them still looks like symbols to me, but which I totally can understand. But I think, of course, it's a big barrier for sure. But if you already speak English and you do somehow manage to pass like the language barrier of learning Japanese, the opportunities that open up are like endless. If you're a bilingual person, and let's say on top of that you have tech skills or programming or development skills, it's very easy to get a really high paying job in Japan, which is about like, let's say 6 to 8 million starting job. 6 to 8 million yen a starting job in Japan. It's very easy because most companies are looking for let's say highly skilled people with bilingual let's say bilingual attribute because they know both English and Japanese. So I would say it's a totally passable barrier, and there are certain tests like called JLPT, Japanese Language Proficiency Test, which if you take, there are like five levels of that, and if you complete all the 5 levels, you're basically a native. And even if you take the test, let's say you study like crazy for the test and you forget most of it later on in your later life, that test, the JLPT test, stays valid. So as long as you have the certification and you took it once, you're all set to apply for any companies in Japan. So language is a barrier for sure, but at the same time, I think if you take like deep interest to it and just get it through as soon as it's possible, like if you come to Japan and you decide that you want to stay and you want to work here, just get it done like as quick as possible. Like just get on the language as soon as possible. Like anything you do, learn how to speak first. Like speaking Japanese gives you a lot of advantage. Like speaking done first gets you like hell lot of advantage. Once you understand the pattern, it's easy to start writing, and let's say reading, it probably takes a bit longer for people, but at the same time, I think reading is the easier side, but writing probably takes longer. But it's a totally passable barrier, and yeah, I mean, if you want to stay in Japan, first things first, just make a plan to get the language done as soon as possible. Like, and to get the JLPT certification like as soon as possible. Like that's the only way. That's the best way, actually. Not the only way, unless you're really highly skilled at a certain thing and the company needs you. So you can get by with English, or you work in an international company, you can get by with English, but jobs in international companies do tend to get filled up really quickly by foreigners pouring in. So definitely knowing the language puts you at a different spectrum, I would say, for sure. These are some of the points that came on top of my head, so I wanted to talk about it. But sure, like if you want me to talk about a certain area, into like a certain aspect of Japan at a deeper level, then for sure, like drop a comment and let me know. But yeah, I think working in Japan overall, it's not too bad as like many people living abroad that make it sound to be, because at the end it's a happy bubble, I would say. Yeah.